We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Last day of campaigning for the first phase of India's general elections. 102 parliamentary constituencies will go to polls on April 19th. Ram Navami, the birthday celebration of Lord Ram being celebrated across India. Ayodhya all set for 4 minutes of celestial glory. Third Israeli war cabinet session today since Iran's weekend attack against Israel. US and its allies plan fresh sanctions against Tehran. And on to the details now. Today is the last day of campaigning for the first phase of India's general elections. Strict regulations will come into force from 6 p.m. IST on Wednesday. The regulations will be enforced till the closure of polls. Voting for the first phase of India's general elections will take place on the 19th of April. People in 102 constituencies across 21 states and union territories will cast their votes in phase 1. The general elections will be held in 7 phases, concluding on the 1st of June. The counting of votes will take place on the 4th of June. An election season is at its peak in India as the first of 7 phases of the 18th Lok Sabha election will take place on the 19th of April, with parties organizing multiple public meetings in order to garner support for the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. And now we take you to Ayodhya, where Ram Navami is being celebrated, the birthday celebration of Lord Ram across India. Ayodhya is all set for the 4 minutes of celestial glory. Well, the newly built Ram temple in Uttar Pradesh's Ayodhya is all decked up for Ram Navami celebrations. As you can see on your screen, the festivities which fall on the 9th day of the Chaitra month mark Ram Lalla's birth. Devotees are thronging in large numbers to get a glimpse of the deity. This year, the auspicious occasion will be more special because of Surya Abhishek of Ram Lalla, when the sun's rays will fall on the forehead of the deity's idol at noon. The celebrations mark the first big religious occasion after the consecration of Ram Lalla in January this year.
जन्मे राम रघुरैया अवधपुर बाजे बधैया हो। जन्मे राम रघुरैया अवधपुर बाजे बधैया हो। सारी अयोध्या में धूम मची है, सारी अयोध्या में धूम मची है। भारी है भीड़ अंगनैया अवधपुर बाजे बधैया हो। प्रभु श्री राम लला का प्राकट्य हो चुका है। प्रभु श्री राम लला पधार चुके हैं अपने नव्य रूप में, दिव्य रूप में, भव्य रूप में। सारे भक्त जनों को दर्शन दे रहे हैं। ये आरती उनकी स्क्रीन पर आपके सामने है। आप अपने घर बैठे ये आरती प्राप्त कर सकते हैं।
भय प्रकट कृपाला जो कहा गया है वो चरितार्थ हो चुका है, अवतरित हो चुके हैं प्रभु। चैत्रे मासे सिते पक्षे नवम्याम ग्रह पंचके उच्च स्थिते तो मध्याह्ने अविरासीत स्वयं हरिहि। स्वयं भगवान नारायण प्रभु श्री राम के रूप में अवतरित होकर भक्तों को दर्शन दे रहे हैं। और आज भगवान के प्राकट्य के ठीक पश्चात भगवान भास्कर की ओजस्वी तेजस्वी किंतु कोमल किरणों ने भगवान का अभिषेक किया, किरणाभिषेक किया। और वो दृश्य अनुपम, अद्भुत, अलौकिक था। परब्रह्म परमेश्वर की यहाँ साक्षात अवतार लेने की लीला हुई है और भगवान की इस लीला के साक्षी बने हैं यहाँ उपस्थित लोगों के, भक्तों के अलावा दूरदर्शन के वो लाखों लाखों दर्शक जो देश दुनिया के अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में अपने अपने घरों से भगवान के इस दिव्य स्वरूप का दर्शन कर पा रहे हैं।
जग निवास प्रभु प्रकटे अखिल लोक विश्राम। आज भारतवर्ष ही नहीं, संपूर्ण विश्व ही नहीं, हमारा ब्रह्मांड ही नहीं, बल्कि अखिल लोगों को विश्राम देने वाले, शांति प्रदान करने वाले प्रभु श्री राम का प्राकट्य हुआ है। आज ही का दिन है वो जब जन्मे थे प्रभु श्री राम। तभी से लोक आस्था, जन जन के हर्षोल्लास का पर्व है श्री रामनवमी। संपूर्ण सनातन जगत को आज के बधाई, बार बार बधाई।
और आज के ही दिन प्रभु के तीनों अनुजों का भी अवतरण हुआ था, उनका भी प्राकट्योत्सव है। भगवान अपने अनुजों के साथ अपने जन्म के अवसर पर गाई जाने वाली बधाई, सोहर सुनकर आनंदित हो रहे हैं। पहली बार यहाँ अयोध्या धाम में इस परिसर में भगवान का ये प्राकट्योत्सव संपन्न हो रहा है। भगवान का वो अलौकिक, वो विलक्षण रूप, ऐसी अद्भुत छवि,
Well, we were watching live from the newly opened Ram temple in Ayodhya, which will witness a divine event when sun rays will fall on the forehead of the Ram Lalla's idol, which will be called Surya Tilak on the occasion of Ram Navami. This was made possible by using a scientific mechanism involving mirrors and lenses. The Surya Tilak will be performed from 12:16 p.m. to 12:21 p.m. for 5 minutes. and devotees will be allowed to visit the temple during this time. This will be the first Ram Navami since the consecration of the Ram idol at the new temple inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 22nd of January. The system was earlier tested by the scientists on Tuesday. And now let's take a look at stories related to elections. Election season is at its peak in India as the first of 7 phases of the 18th Lok Sabha elections will take place on April 19th, with parties organizing multiple public meetings. In order to garner support for the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held rally in Assam's Nalbari. Later on the day, Prime Minister will be addressing a public gathering in Tripura. Senior BJP leader and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will address 3 rallies in Kerala's Kannur, Kasaragod and Vadakara towns. All 20 Lok Sabha seats of the state go to the polls in the first phase. Senior BJP leader and Union Minister Nitin Gadkari will virtually address people in Maharashtra's Nagpur, where he is up against Congress's Indie bloc candidate Vikas Thakre. Senior BJP leader and Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh to lead a road show in Jammu's Kathua. Opposition's Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav addressed joint press briefing in Uttar Pradesh's Ghaziabad. The 2 leaders have not campaigned together for any of the 10 states of Western Uttar Pradesh going to polls in the first phase of polling on the 19th of April. The Congress is contesting the Ghaziabad seat apart from other seats in UP in alliance with SP as part of opposition's India bloc. The India bloc has fielded Dolly Sharma of the Congress as its candidate from Ghaziabad seat. Ghaziabad is going to polls in second phase of voting on the 26th of April. On the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi said unemployment and inflation are the key issues in the upcoming elections.
दो तीन बड़े मुद्दे हैं। सबसे बड़ा बेरोजगारी, दूसरे नंबर पर महंगाई, भागीदारी। मगर बीजेपी 24 घंटा डिस्ट्रैक्शन करने में लगी रहती है।
And India's very own Charlie Chaplin has launched a nationwide voter awareness campaign program ahead of the country's lower house elections. Rajan Kumar, an actor known for mimicking the great Charlie Chaplin, launched the initiative in northern India's Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday. Kumar plans to take it to the far corners of the country before culminating in southern India's Kanyakumari. Kumar was seen going around Srinagar, raising awareness among locals on the need to exercise their democratic right to vote while being dressed in the trademark attire of the legendary actor and comic icon. And moving on now, in one of the largest operations by security forces in Chattisgarh, 29 Naxalites were killed in an encounter in Kanke district in the central Indian state of Chattisgarh on Tuesday. This figure can go up as the search operation is still on, Chattisgarh police said. According to officials, if the figure crosses 30 casualties from the Naxal side, this would be the largest operation by forces in the past 10 years. Bodies of all the 29 Naxalites were recovered, while 3 of them have been identified so far. AK-47 rifles and large cache of grenades was also recovered. 3 security personnel who were injured in the operation are out of danger. And India's Chief of the Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, inaugurated a high-tech information technology laboratory at the Uzbek Academy of Armed Forces during his 4-day visit to Uzbekistan. The IT lab is equipped with state-of-the-art technology. The project was funded through the Indian External Affairs Ministry's Aid to Eurasia initiative. The collaborative initiative is expected to enrich the training resources available to the Uzbek armed forces and foster a deeper defense cooperation between India and Uzbekistan. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. The passing out parade for 427 Agni Veer soldiers of the 3rd batch of Agni Path scheme was held at the Parachute Regiment Training Centre in the southern city of Bengaluru on Wednesday. The Agni Path scheme recruits youths to serve in the Indian Armed Forces. Indian Coast Guard assets in a joint operation successfully apprehended a Myanmarese boat with poachers off the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. All poachers have been handed over to the Andaman police. Indian Army's Bhishma tanks of the Trishakti Corps carried out field firing and battle drills and procedures. The drill aims to achieve the highest standards of precision fires and quick and intense engagements, showcasing high standard of operational preparedness. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. In US, first 7 jurors chosen to serve on Trump criminal trial, while Joe Biden kicks off multi-city tour of Pennsylvania. G7 foreign ministers meeting in Capri with focus on de-escalating Mideast tensions. And in Champions League thriller, Paris Saint-Germain and Borussia Dortmund set up semi-final clash.
As the cycle of accountability returns, the time has come when the biggest democracy chooses to write another chapter in its glorious history. Development, justice, regionalism, a big political canvas. Everything will be put to test in this mega battle for glory. DD India dissects what makes elections 2024 the battle royale in Indian politics. Data and analysis free from bias to help you understand why India matters. The Great Indian Election on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, another meeting of Israel's war cabinet will be held today to decide on a response to Iran's first ever direct attack. It will be the 3rd time that the decision-making cabinet convenes since Iran launched more than 300 missiles and drones against Israel on Saturday night. Earlier, Military Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi had promised that Saturday night's attack from Iran at Israeli territory will be met with a response. Well, the US is planning to impose new sanctions targeting Iran's missile and drone program in the coming days. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has said that the US will impose new sanctions on Iran's missile and drone programs and new sanctions against entities backing the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Iran's Defense Ministry in the coming days. In a statement, Sullivan said, following Iran's unprecedented air attack against Israel, President Biden is coordinating with allies and partners, including the G7 and with bipartisan leaders in Congress on a comprehensive response. Sullivan added that the U.S. also expects its allies and partners to impose sanctions against Iran. He said that the U.S. continues to work to further strengthen and expand the successful integration of air and missile defense and early warning systems across the Middle East to further erode the effectiveness of Iran's missile and UAV capabilities. And European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said Brussels is starting work on expanding sanctions against Iran after Tehran's attack on Israel. Speaking after an emergency online meeting of EU foreign ministers, Borrell said the bloc would look to toughen measures against Iran's supplies of weaponry, including drones, to Russia and proxy groups around the Middle East.
First, as expected, everybody a strong condemnation of the Iranian attack, a strong unity about it. Also, the member states reaffirm their commitment, the commitment of the European Union to Israel's security. And third, we remain united in the objective of avoid further escalation and call all actors to show restraint. After this meeting, we will increase our outreach with the key partners in the region, and some member states propose the adoption of expand the restrictive measures against Iran, adopting an expansion of restrictive measures against Iran. I will send to the External Action Service the request to start the necessary work related to these sanctions.
And after 2 days of jury selection, the first 7 jurors were selected on Tuesday to serve on Donald Trump's hush money criminal trial. The judge also warned lawyers that he would not tolerate any efforts to intimidate prospective jurors after saying Trump was audibly muttering while one of the possible members of the panel was questioned. Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to an adult star shortly before the 2016 election. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denies an encounter took place. Trump spoke out against the judge overseeing his New York criminal trial, repeatedly calling him conflicted and saying he should not be there. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden kicked off a multi-city tour of the battleground state of Pennsylvania on Tuesday with a stop in his hometown of Scranton, where he renewed calls to increase taxes on wealthy Americans and large corporations. Biden is seeking to boost sagging opinion poll numbers for his handling of the U.S. economy by contrasting his plan to impose higher taxes on Americans making more than $400,000 with his Republican rival Donald Trump's promise to preserve his 2017 slashing of the corporate tax rate. Biden is also pushing for middle-class tax cuts. And foreign ministers from the G7 nations are set to meet on the Italian island of Capri, with tensions running high between Israel and Iran. Top diplomats from the group are also expected to discuss how to support Ukraine as Russia makes gains on the battlefield. Giles Gibson sent this report from Capri.
The island of Capri is famous for its glamorous hotels and villas, but it's here that G7 foreign ministers are going to be discussing how to present a united front as conflicts around the world threaten to spill over. We expect them by the end of these talks to issue a plea for Israel and Iran to de-escalate tensions after Tehran launched those missile and drone strikes on Israeli territory over the weekend, and we also expect them to call once again for there to be a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, the Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani, who is hosting these talks, is saying that the G7 are presenting a united front when it comes to supporting Ukraine, and indeed the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, as well as the Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, are set to attend these talks on the island of Capri. We also expect foreign ministers to start getting into discussions around how to use $300 billion of frozen Russian assets in the West to potentially help Ukraine in its war efforts. Now, according to the reports, the UK, the US and Canada are pushing for that money simply to be seized and then handed over to the Ukrainian government. But we're also hearing behind the scenes that European countries in particular are concerned about that setting a dangerous precedent. So what we could see is some sort of agreement under which bonds are issued, effectively loans to the Ukrainian government, and those bonds would be secured against the future profits of those $300 billion of frozen Russian assets. We don't expect an immediate decision on that. We expect that to be made potentially at the G7 Leaders Summit, which is coming up later this year, also hosted in Italy in June. Meanwhile, we also expect these foreign ministers to get into some other very detailed discussions around how to engage with Africa and China, as well as how to introduce global governance when it comes to artificial intelligence. Giles Gibson on the island of Capri, reporting for DD India.
Well, in sports update, Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain stormed into the Champions League semi-finals. Borussia Dortmund registered 4-2 win over Atletico de Madrid on Tuesday, while PSG's Kylian Mbappe scored twice in the second half to help guide his side to a 4-1 comeback win at 10-man Barcelona. Dortmund had not reached the last four of the Champions League since they finished runners-up in 2012 and 2013. And Ram Navami celebrations are underway across India on Wednesday. The festivities, which fall on the 9th day of the Chaitra month, mark the birth of Lord Ram. This year, the auspicious occasion was more special by Surya Abhishek of Ram Lalla when the sun rays fell on the forehead of the deity's idol at noon. The celebrations mark the first big religious occasion after the consecration of Ram Lalla in January this year. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.